The best thing that ever happened to me was her. She's the most kind, caring, loving, unbelievable mother that I could ever imagine. People are they're reacting instead of planning.
I have this saying that the more commoditized your brand or business is, or your offering, the more humanized your content needs to be.
I couldn't believe it. I knew nothing about promotional products outside of getting, free giveaways at college.
Put yourself in an uncomfortable position to get comfortable again.
Product is very important, but they're more driven by purpose and principle.
Tomorrow is not promised. That's the reality of it all.
No matter how perfect that order is, once it leaves your desk, there's always room for error.
It's not how good you are when you're good, it's how good you are when you're bad.
I ended up meeting a girl there who ended up becoming one of my best friends and who ended up becoming my wife.
Built a podcast. They can reach 5,000 to 10,000 people a day.
What I learned a long time ago is you can't teach common sense.
There's one thing that all champions have in common. They get shit done. So welcome to the Get Shit Done Experience. Well, we are back at it again. Yes, this is the Get Shit Done Experience, also known as the GSDX podcast. And we are in studio from TTSG, GSD Technologies and 2020 Design. Of course, the Get Shit Done Experience is powered by TTSG, GSD Technologies and 2020 Design. And we thank Tim Ward and Nick Vorzillo for making this all possible. Today, we are going to talk to somebody who is a true entrepreneur, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, touched thousands of lives, if not more, been a part of thousands of brands, if not more, had an impact on awareness, attention, visibility. He is the one and only Rob Marshall, and he is the founder and owner of Universal Marketing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We are very thrilled to have you. And by the way, let me just stress to you once again, I'm going to look right at you. The power of LinkedIn and the power of being vulnerable and authentic and writing and telling your story. Your story is like a snowflake. It's unique. It's your own story. It needs to be told. You were put here for a reason. You have a purpose. Tell your story, because what ends up happening when you do, you attract people that are interested in that story, can lend to that story, and want to be part of your future story. And so that is how I was connected with Rob. I had written a post on LinkedIn expressing some of the joys of life and some of the adversity overcome. You know how I write on LinkedIn, so you know that I try and go with inspire, inform, and influence. A lot of inspire. And this post was in that cadence of inspire, and Rob caught that and reached out. And it's just such a great indication of the good people that exist in the world that that want to be driven by purpose and principle beyond product, right? Product is very important, but they're more driven by purpose and principle. And that is Rob. He reached out to me through LinkedIn, a very nice comment, sent me a DM. We had a conversation. And that right there just goes to show you the type of person that we're interacting with. And I can't wait to dig in and tell a story. So let me just give you a little bit of background. First off, you're going to play along here because you're going to go to www.universalmarketingllc.com. And you're going to take a look at some of the amazing work that they've done over the last 30 years. As I had mentioned, Rob started the business from his basement just weeks, months after being married. I can only imagine the reaction of your wife. Hey, honey, we just got married. We're back from our honeymoon. Oh, by the way, also going to start a business. Should we have kids too? Like, talk about putting the pressure on. So my co-host today, Pat Azizi, is going to join in the fun and lend his perspective as well. So thank you so much. Before I do that as well, for nearly 30 years, Universal Marketing has been dedicated to helping businesses bring their brand to life through high-quality promotional products, specializing in custom in-house embroidery, silk screen, apparel, and a wide range of promotional products. So I'm reading off of their LinkedIn overview. If you would also go over to LinkedIn and follow them, that would be fantastic. And guess what? I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to click the button. Boom. Followed. Check that out. Rob, thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm curious. Wow, that was really crazy. I just looked at the monitor for the soundboard right when I said I'm curious, 4:44 popped up. 4 minutes and 44 seconds. I see it all the time. All right, so I'm curious, what are the odds that I looked at it at that time? Just at that moment. Just absolutely crazy. Another sign. Okay, so Rob, I'm curious. Tell us a little bit about kind of your journey from college to your short stint working for a few folks, and then the story you just told, which is absolutely outstanding. Let's get into that a little bit.
All right. I'm happy to be here. You are a consummate professional. This is very intimidating. I mean, I'm super excited to be here. I'm like, when Pat reached out to me, I said it right away. I said, yes, I'm going to do it. But I go, why did I just say that? I don't even like talking about myself, but I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I'm here. So I grew up on the east side of Detroit in a little town called Grosse Pointe. I was raised by middle-class family. I ended up graduating, going to Central Michigan my first year playing baseball there.
Let's go.
My true love was hockey. I was an all-state hockey player in Michigan.
No kidding.
Yeah, I just excelled at that, hockey and baseball, but my true love was hockey. So I went to Central Michigan my first year. My mother actually ran into my high school coach when she was in the grocery store while I was at Central. And he asked how I was doing, and she said, he's doing good, but he really misses hockey. Wish he would have tried to figure out a school to play it in hockey in college. So he said, you know what, I'm going to get some tapes together, and I'm going to start sending them out, which he probably should have done that when I was a senior, right? I was an all-state hockey player.
Yeah, that would tend to be the course of action.
Right?
A little preemptive action.
So anyhow, he came back a few weeks later and said there was a few schools interested, Lake Forest College being one of them. And I really didn't even look into the school, to be honest with you. I was just excited to go and to play hockey in college. And so I ended up getting there, and it turns out it was a D3 school. So it wasn't like there were scholarships. It was, more academic type stuff, but it didn't matter. It was good hockey. Division III was good hockey right underneath NCAA. And so really, I tried to, it was a tryout. It wasn't like, hey, you got a spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so after a year off of hockey, it's not like I was going to be able to just jump back into these guys who were coming from prep school, mainly out east.
And playing club.
And juniors and all that stuff.
Gosh.
So anyhow, long story short, I did not end up making the team right away. And then, but I ended up getting in a little bit of trouble along the way. And that probably didn't bode well with the coach. And it's kind of along the lines of what we talked about earlier, which we don't have to disclose right now. At the end of the day, I ended up meeting a girl there who ended up becoming one of my best friends and who ended up becoming my wife. So at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily hockey, but it was something bigger and better that ended up in the end. So
I love the fact that you just said, I met somebody who became my best friend and then became my wife.
She was.
But
here's the thing. We had no attraction to one another. It was weird.
Really?
I saw her dating guys. I would go on spring break with her. She was taking me to girls' houses that I met on the beach. There was literally no anything. There was no spark, nothing.
You were both in a tryout.
Potentially. Yeah. So, and then one night, we were in a dorm room and a kiss happened. And next thing you know, I said, we were drinking, of course.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I don't want to ruin our friendship. And I put her to bed. Come to find out, she liked me more after that.
Well, yeah.
And then she ended up putting on the full court press, and I was like, hey, wait, pump the brakes here. I came here to play hockey and study, and I'm trying everything under the sun to avoid it. And she just would not let up. And then the next day she'd come to my dorm, and I'd be like, I thought we just had this conversation. But what I will tell you is that the walls, the barriers, everything I put up, the best thing that ever happened to me was her, because she is truly what was best for me.
Yeah.
She's the most kind, caring, loving, unbelievable mother that I could ever imagine.
What is your wife's name?
Brooke.
Brooke? Wow. We're turning this into a clip, and every time you look at this clip, I hope that you smile, because
especially after I yell at you.
There's so many people that are, in a marriage or a relationship that would just love to hear their partner say something that special about them. That was beautiful.
Did I tell you it's my 31st anniversary?
Congratulations. Yeah, let's go today.
Let's go.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
4 kids later. All my kids live in Arizona. I got 3 boys and a girl. I always used to say it took me 4 times to get it right until she turned 14.
Yeah.
It just became mental. But all my boys are out there. They're like, yes, I'm still their father, but I'm like, they're good friends too. So it's
awesome.
It's pretty amazing.
You know what's really interesting about that? Were you always like that? Because I've noticed that the fathers that have great friendships with their adult children were not friends with them when they were kids.
So I coached them in baseball and hockey, and I was super hard. It was all about discipline and structure for me. And believe me, I came down on them super hard, and I still will. To this day, I'll be like, I'll say, what's the matter with you? It's Mother's Day. Let's go. I know you drank last night, but get over here. It's Mother's Day. She's been cooking for you.
Yeah.
But I never want to lose that because it's important that they still stay on the right path. And if I think that they're veering off, I want to give them fatherly advice. As I talk to you, my dad took his own life 34 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was 21 years old. I was a senior at Lake Forest College, starting my 2nd semester. And talk about a kick in the gut. 21, my brother was 16. And my sister was 18 months older than me. But it's been a traumatic situation in my life for all these years. It'll never go away. I will always talk about it because it's part of my life's journey.
Absolutely.
You know? And not to put a damper on anything.
It's not a damper.
It's part of reality, right? And so my kids all know my dad, even though they've never met him.
Yeah.
He's been described to them in detail and how he looks and how he acted and how he was. And so they know Grandpa Marshall as this dude.
Yeah.
He was like 6'3", 225. He was just a specimen.
Yeah.
Worked out 3 days a week. He was just a beauty. He was not only a good-looking man on the outside, he was even better on the inside.
So those of you listening, just remember today, right now, as you just heard that story, would be a great time to reach out to somebody that you think is powerful, you think has it all together, you think is strong, and just check in. Those are the ones but the way that you've described him, those are the ones that you got to worry about. It's not the ones that, that are showing the emotion. It's the ones that are tucking it and burying it and have this look about them that they're invincible and could never have that type of a challenge. Those are the people that you want to reach out to.
And tomorrow is not promised. That's the reality of it all.
You ain't kidding. So my dad gave a prayer one time at Thanksgiving, and he said, and I remember us giggling because I think we didn't understand what he was saying. And, years later, you think back on the things that your father said or your mother said, and you go, oh, that's what they meant by that. But he said, honor the dead as if they're living and the living as if they're dead. And when that finally clicked with me and I had that aha moment, that sounds a lot like what you're doing. You're honoring your father and his memory by talking about him as if he's in the room right now and describing him.
Yeah. And, the interesting thing is, and I don't want to divert too much from my life as we were going to talk about it, but my brother, just the opposite. And he's now, he's 5 years younger than me, and he's just going into therapy and he's uncovering things. He was 16 years old, man.
I can't.
He was there that day, and he left to go to a friend's house, and now, whatever. His trauma is his trauma. It's different from mine, but in a lot of ways, it's the same. But he's now opening up and talking about it, and it's been super therapeutic. He is somebody I talk to twice a day, 7 days a week. He lives in Birmingham, Michigan.
Let's go.
He is just somebody that, I don't know, it's hard for me to put it into words, but we are super, super close. I would say he's my best friend. He, outside of my wife and my kids, but he's just somebody that is incredibly important to me, and he's just a cool dude.
In the get shit done mindset, the vibe, those who face adversity like you have really two choices at that adverse moment. They could either allow it to affect them and bury them and cause them to kind of turn inward, or they can use it as fuel and inspiration and motivation to tell stories, to lead people, to inspire others, to look at situations differently. At 21 years old, to be faced with that type of a situation caused you to grow up really fast and to look at situations a lot differently.
Well, I had to drop out of school. I had to go home and I had to take care of a lot of things that happened in a very traumatic way with a house fire. And my mom ended up with, burns on her arms and legs and ended up in the University of Michigan Burn Center. And so, I was dealing with insurance people and lawyers and money people and all kinds of different stuff. And it is what it is. I didn't even think twice about it. My sister says to me this day, she said, "How did you know to do that?" I go, "I didn't. I just knew I needed to do it. I didn't think about it. Brad's 16. You're a paralegal. You got your first job. Naturally, I have to do this." And so I did, and I don't regret it. It is what it is, part of my life's journey. And did I grow up overnight? It did. But you know what? I did do that. But there's always somebody going through something worse.
Yeah.
I can tell you, that's my perspective on it. Outside of probably being in my car at one point or another going, I just want to go 150 miles into this phone pole. I know the pain it caused me, and I could never cause that pain to other people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, suicide is just such a different animal because you don't have a lot of answers because you don't know the pain that person's going through.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad must have been in so much pain that the only thing he thought about is taking himself out of the equation.
Yeah.
But it wasn't who he was. He just had a moment.
That's the hardest part, is when it's not who you are and you can't stop the thoughts. I had a decade of everyday thoughts.
I don't know how you did it.
Well, I don't either, but I will tell you that, similar to you being on the other side of it, when I came through it, I looked at life, like life looks a lot different for me right now than it did 627 days ago.
Thank God.
Thank God is right. It looks a lot different though. And I think on the other side of it, having to be somebody who sees it from a completely different perspective, the perspective that my children could have had to have seen it from, but now see what can happen if you put your mind, your heart, and your faith in the right place, kind of what changes. There's a really interesting thing to when you get to the verge of what you think is the worst moment ever, or even death, how that prepares you that everything else that comes just looks, feels completely different. Like nothing is too big. Nothing's too big of a challenge. Nothing's too concerning. There's nothing that you think to yourself, well, I can't overcome that.
And I can't even put myself in those shoes.
Well, but I think that you are from a different perspective, right? We're in different shoes, but we're running the same marathon.
The trauma is the trauma.
Yeah.
Right? So it's part of who I am. It's my wife was right there with me when it all went down. She was right by my side. So I did drop out of school. Then my school was nice enough to let me walk with my class, but then I had to go back and I had to do summer classes. And then I graduated. I was a bartender at Morton Steakhouse in Highland Park, the only Morton Steakhouse that Arnie Morton still owned because he sold the chain off to Landry's, I think. Mm. So I'd see all kinds of celebrities in there and newscasters and things. It was just a small little spot in Highland Park on First and Central. And so I'd meet a lot of different entrepreneurs and business owners in there. And I continued to bartend even after I, graduated, and I ended up meeting a guy. He owned a company called Monarch Box and Paper, and it was down on the south side. And he had a small division that he was selling disposable medical supplies to hospitals in the inner city. And I really wanted to get into medical because, recession proof and all that. I thought it was going to be a good industry to get into. And I started in that. I was in that for probably 6 or 8 months and turns out, I mean, when you're competing with the big boys for all the Baxters and Abbotts and stuff, you know, the margins are so thin. These hospitals don't pay for 6-7 months. It just was not a good fit. So I moved over to the packaging side. Boring. Boxes, box sealing tape, marking. It was just boring, you know, it wasn't sexy. But I ended up calling on this one customer in Elmwood Park called Logan Knitting Mills, and they manufactured wool body, leather sleeve varsity jackets, which you never knew who made those until you walk into a company like that. They also had a contract embroidery division that sold to promotional products distributors. And they also made military clothing for schools out east. So this guy called me, Chuck Feldman, I'll never forget it. He called me, said, I got a big order for you. Come over. I need some marking paper and I need this, this, and this. And I went in and I sat down with him. I said, well, I got my notepad on. What do you need? And he said, I want to offer you a job. I want you to sell contract embroidery to promotional products distributors. I said, what's that? And he told me, showed me all the big machinery that they had. And so he said, I'll pay your cell phone bill. I'll pay you a little bit more than you're making, and I'll give you incentive down the road. And I said, I accepted the job on the spot. And I felt bad because the guy gave me my first opportunity, the guy I met at Morton's. But anyhow, in a year and a half, I doubled that end of their business because there was no, like we talked before, there was nobody selling face-to-face contract embroidery or contract services. So it was all trade magazine ads that were put in.
It's changed, huh?
It's changed. It's changed. And so I had gotten married. I was probably three months in being married. And I really just didn't see a future with this company. And I told my wife, I said, I want to start my own company. And she did not say anything other than go, do it. And so I put up I had an unfinished basement. We were living in Bartlett at the time. It was a folding table. I had a two-line phone on one side. I had a fax machine on the other. And literally every day, because at a certain point when you leave a customer or a company, you take your customers with you, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they were my competitors. Yeah. So who did I have to go after?
You're starting at the bottom.
Well, at the bottom, I had to go after the people I saw large volume embroidered going through those machines. It was auto auctions. It was railroads. It was healthcare. And so I just got up every day, I took a shower, I put on a shirt and tie, and I went down and I tried to be a telephone terrorist. I just tried to dial in for dollars, man. That's all it was. And my incentive to get out of that unfinished basement was to get an appointment. Get me an appointment. And I didn't know about apparel. I knew about embroidery, but I didn't know where to get anything outside of what was on the boxes, right? S&S and Alpha and those companies. And so I had an opportunity. My first meeting was with Auction Way Sales, and it was Alsip, Illinois, I think it was. And I walked out of there, and he goes, I'm going to do 500 Lee cross-grain sweatshirts. I don't know if you remember those. Oh, man. They were like 11-ounce, heavyweight, 80-20, and embroidery. And I was like, oh, my God. And he goes, yeah, I need 144 coffee mugs, and I need 1,000 pens. And I took the order, and I walked out. I go, where am I going to get the mugs? Where am I going to get? I didn't know where to get any of that stuff.
What do I do next?
Yeah. And so what do? You take the order and you figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what I did.
Say yes and figure it out.
Sounds familiar.
And so that's what I did. Feeling. And that one customer turned into, take care of that guy. Hopefully that'll turn into other orders throughout the year, which it did. Auto auctions were big back in the day. If you buy 2 cars, you get a jacket. You buy 3 cars, you get a hat or whatever. And so, my first year, I probably made 10 grand, but then having those customers, taking care of them, getting new ones, building that book of business, turning that money into residual business. And I kept doubling the money that I was putting in my pocket. I worked out of my house for 2 years. I found a small building in Elgin that had a couple apartments attached to it. There was probably 1,000 square feet in the office space. The apartments paid the mortgage on the whole building, and I paid my rent. And so I did that because I was at a point where I needed to get somebody to work for me, and I didn't want them coming to my house. Yeah. And so then I ended up there for 5 years, but I started using a contract embroidery company in West Dundee. I was his smallest customer. I became one of his largest.
Awesome.
He was missing event dates. The quality was lacking. I was like, I got to buy equipment, but how do I do that? I don't have the space.
Massive capital equipment.
Yeah. And so there was a building that came up for sale down the street, It was a TV repair shop in the back. It was a labor placement company in the front. I was like, this is perfect. The building was probably 175 grand. I could have made it work. I was going to get the machines, put it in the back of the one side, leave the labor placement company paying rent, and then eventually I would move everybody under one roof. So I ended up buying it, and I bought my first machine. I hired this lady, this Polish lady. She was great. And 30 days in, I get a call in the middle of the night. It's the alarm company. They said, the alarm's going off. I said, is it a false alarm? Can you tell? They're like, the building's on fire. You need to go down there.
Oh, man.
I said, what? So I go down there. Sure enough, in the area I'm in, within a 5-mile radius, labor placement is a hotbed. It's huge business. One of their competitors threw a Molotov cocktail in the front window to torch the place to put them out of business. And guess what? It worked.
No way.
So anyhow, I'm like thinking I'm on the right path. Things are moving in the right direction. And now I got a building that's on fire. Now what do I do? Whatever. You get the insurance company out here.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out the silver lining for me was the whole front part of the building was built out for $175,000 that the insurance paid on it.
Yeah.
I got it built out to whatever specifications I needed. And then I was able to bring everybody under one roof and build it out with some other offices for other salespeople to bring in. And so that's kind of how I started. And I've been there for 23 years now at that location.
It's absolutely brilliant. Pat, we know this feeling. When we joined the promotional product space, we came from the same company.
Yep.
And so what was your thought when we first described to you how much money was spent in the industry per year?
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I knew nothing about promotional products outside of getting, free giveaways at college. So it was pretty crazy to see some of the amounts of money that some of these colleges and corporations are spending and are still spending.
It's unbelievable. $16 billion industry.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And what's unbelievable about that is there's, thousands and thousands of companies, but like 800 of those companies make up like
majority
50% of that 16 billion or whatever it is. And then thousands and thousands and thousands of companies make up the other half.
Well, the great part about that space, the promo space, is everybody uses it one way or another.
Yeah.
You're not limited, whether it's churches or schools or businesses or universities or everybody uses it one way or another. It's just different degrees of buys, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good. I've been able to, have a good lifestyle. I've been able to put my kids through college along the way. When my grandmother died a year after my dad died, she was probably the next closest person to me in this world. So it was pretty devastating to lose her. She left me and my brother and sister each $25,000. And, I could have bought a car with that.
Mm-hmm.
That money sat for several years until I told my wife I want to start buying rental property. And so I took that $25,000 and I bought 2 VA repossessed homes. And funny thing is, my wife comes from real estate. Her background, her family background is real estate management and apartments and things. She wanted nothing to do with it. I go, I'm doing this with or without you. This is a good thing for our future.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up buying like 2 houses a year for the next 6 years. And then eventually I'd pay down mortgages and we would just keep them as long-term rentals. And my philosophy has always been just have somebody else build equity while you're sleeping, and so that all happened. And then COVID hit, and we're going to fast forward to COVID.
Oh yeah.
And because that's another pivotal part in my life, which was I had 2 boys that went to University of Arizona. They played hockey there, club hockey, had an absolute ball, made lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And when I went out there for the first time to meet the coach, I had never even been to the state. I couldn't believe how many pretty girls I saw. And they seemed to be nice. That usually doesn't go hand in hand.
Sunlight helps.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And palm trees and mountains, throw those in there.
It helps.
And so we had bought a house for the boys, a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Tucson, because it was going to be cheaper than $1,000 a door to buy, to put them in an apartment. And so we had that house. The next year we bought a bigger house to get in roommates to subsidize the cost. And so when COVID hit, all the students went home. Nobody was Airbnb-ing. We were Airbnb-ing the smaller house. And so my wife and I said, let's go down there because we don't know what's going to go on. So the older sibling, my oldest son, he moved down there and he went to Chandler. He got his first job at Northrop Grumman because he wanted to be close to his brothers because they're, even with all the fights and the punches growing up,
nothing like it.
These guys are thick as thieves.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all you want as parents, right? Your kids.
That's a victory.
100%. And so my wife and I lived in the small house. My 4 kids, by the way, I dragged my daughter kicking and screaming. She was a senior. She was 17. She hated me for a year. No lie. Hated me.
That's a tough time to move.
It is true. But we had family dinners 6 nights a week.
Enough said.
We reconnected with our kids that we never thought imaginable. We walk every day, sunshine, palm trees, mountains. I said, should we go back and sell our house in St. Charles? She's like, what? I go, yeah, like move here and then I've never traveled for a living. Can I figure out a way that I can go back and forth and still keep this thing connected? Universal marketing. And sure enough, we did it. And I didn't understand the whole Zoom thing, so I had to figure that thing out. I didn't have a laptop. And once I figured that thing out, it was like, to this day,
I can do this from anywhere.
But to this day, I'm driving on the 101 looking at this picture of, it looks like a postcard. I go, do we really do this? So we moved to Arizona. We're residents of Arizona. We live 0.9 miles from my boys. My daughter actually is finishing up her 5th year at ASU. She's going to live with us this year. And I couldn't have drawn it up any better if I tried to do it a second or third time.
Yeah.
We are so close with them. They don't mind being around us. It probably helps that I pay, but it's okay. I don't mind. But I love my family and what our unit stands for.
So I feel like your decision making all seems to turn out really well. Do you feel like you're getting signs, like you're getting messages and signs, breadcrumbs, if you will, where, you know, the opportunities, you every decision, right? You could go a multitude of different ways. But why do you think it is that you're intuitive enough or in touch enough to keep making the right decisions? Where do you think that's coming from?
It has nothing to do with me. I've been blessed. God's been good to me. I have to give total credit to God for this because,
Amen.
And I don't want to like overemphasize the point because I'm a sinner first and foremost, but I go to church because of that, and I try to pray because of that, and I am not lucky. I'm blessed. I have to tell you that. I have more today than I ever have, and I don't have to think about it in monetary value.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 healthy kids
and
that God has blessed me. Yeah, my heart is full. You know, have I taken my business to the level that just is you're gonna go, oh my God, you're doing those kind of numbers? Maybe not. But there's more to life than just that.
Yeah.
For me.
But that's not why you're here. Like the business is a vehicle. It's not the purpose. You have a greater purpose, clearly defined. This is why I think, as bad as it is, when people have adverse times in their life, if they take it for what it's worth, and if they're spiritual and they really dig deep and think about it, it's kind of setting you up to be able to overcome anything. And so I think that, you know, the business is just a vehicle to allow you to live out your greater purpose being your family. You know, having dinner with your whole family 6 nights a week in the world that we live in itself is the ultimate victory for a father.
You're right. I'm going to take
brilliant.
that. I'm going to take that.
Brilliant. Not easy nowadays.
And it's not like I planned it. It just kind of fell into place, man. And it did. And I'm super blessed for that, you know? And but to hear your story and your journey and to understand how you took such a negative and you turned it into a positive is unbelievable. It's so inspirational, man. And to think of my life and I go, I never walked in those shoes, but you came out the other end and you're thriving. That's a beautiful thing.
I feel the same way that was a blessing. It kind of needed to happen and it was an awakening. And so then we have the option at that point because we have free will. So then you decide what you're going to do with that because you only get so many shots. Eventually you got to hear it and do something with it. And so this takes me back to that moment where you had the option of being angry. You had the option of being put off, let down, depressed. And instead you took it and said, you just reacted and you took the right actions. You stayed true to yourself. And you made your life about relationships and doing things for other people at the North Star of the way that you go about things.
And I think we started having kids pretty quickly after we got married because I think the next time that I knew that I'd be happy in my life was when I had my own family to take care of. I think that's truly what the mindset was. And I never thought in a million years that it could give me this much satisfaction and this much love, quite honestly.
It's pretty amazing. So when you start your day and you're going to, take on the world as you have to do every single day as a business owner, especially, but really in any role, but especially as a business owner, you're really taking on the day. You really have to kind of be in the right mindset. Otherwise, you could end up drinking through a fire hose and all of a sudden you look up and decades have gone by and you're like, what the hell happened? I'm miserable. But it seems to me that you're very present. Like, how are you doing that? What actions are you taking? Like, if someone was listening to this and they're like, man, I just feel out of sorts. I feel like I'm hanging on to baggage. Like, I'm not allowing moments to happen. I'm not listening to my intuition. I feel blocked. Like if somebody was feeling that way, what would you tell them are the steps that you take daily that maybe they could implement to get through that?
I can't tell you they're absolute steps.
Well, it's your way.
But I can tell you that I joined a prayer group. It took me way out of my comfort zone to learn more about the Bible. The Bible to read by itself is very difficult. So I took it out. I put myself in an uncomfortable position. I always tell my kids, put yourself in an uncomfortable position to get comfortable again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my saying. It is
Navy SEALs, man.
Yeah. And so
learn how to become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I read daily devotions at night before I go to bed. I pray before I go to bed about people I really care about and really want to get better. And I don't pray for just anything. I pray for them to be healed completely through God's will. But I do try to take myself and put myself in uncomfortable positions to try to get myself to a spot where, okay, I did this. Let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I try to make sure I look out for the people that work so hard for me at Universal Marketing. I don't look at it like they work for me. I look at it like we work together. Mm-hmm. Some people have the mindset, people are lucky to work for me. I just have never had that mindset. And so it's more of a, hey, how are we going to do this thing together? Try to take care of them. I'm a small business, so I just try to do my part, whether it's monetarily, whether it's taking them to Top Golf, whether it's to take them out to a meal to celebrate a birthday. I just try to stay connected with them and make sure that they understand how important they are to me.
So I have this saying that the more commoditized your brand or business is or your offering, the more humanized your content needs to be. For instance, at TTSG, we sell copy machines. And the fact is that copy machines are copy machines. They're machines. They're going to break down. They're going to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it, but they're going to have moments. It's technology. It's going to break down. The price is likely going to be the price. It really comes down to what the person supplying that product to you decides that they want to do in the way of price, beyond manufacturer's retail suggested price or whatever it might be. So what it really comes down to is who are you doing business with and what is their why? What's their core values? What's their mission? How do they treat people? Are they about relationships or transactions? How long did it take for you to develop that belief system, that style, or that awareness? Because what you're selling, for many, and we know this to be true, they consider it to be marketing spend. It's marketing budgets. It's trinkets and trash. It's landfill. It's a product you're going to slap a logo on, and you're going to hope to God that somebody sees that logo and remembers your brand, right? But that doesn't need to be the way that you present it or make the marketplace feel when interacting with your brand. So what's been some of the values that you've instilled in your team and that you live out on a daily basis to be able to sell something that is a commodity but make it feel great to the buyer?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do that with a cool item that's, a 75 cent to $1.50 item that's a trade show that 1,000 other people are giving away, right? I mean, you try to encourage them to come up with, if they have the ability to come up with cool custom products based on some of their items that they manufacture, and you can do that overseas, which is great, which I've been doing more and more of. I hate to say I'm trying to cut out the domestic importer, but when you're able to go direct to China and get stuff for much less, and I'll be honest with you, the stuff that I've imported directly from China, I've had almost virtually no problems with.
Yeah.
Compared to the PCNA, I hate to say, I'm not going to say it, compared to some of the other companies out there that are with American workers it could be a 500 tote bag repeat order and it's crooked or the ink's coming off or it's the wrong color. And so I just try to set myself up with value-added suppliers, and some are great, some are just okay, but you try to go to the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to be able to get it done for you and make you look good and make your customer ultimately look good in their peers' eyes. There's
definitely an issue with the manufacturing process in America, especially in that particular industry. And that's a much longer podcast.
Yeah, it is.
To have a conversation about. It's kind of a shame. That being said, it is a great solution until that's corrected. But there definitely needs to be some correction made to policies and
quality control,
incentives and quality control and all different things. And by the way, the mindset of laborers in America,
I think
being willing to do amazing
going
work.
above and beyond to make sure that your quality speaks for itself. Your station is not going to have any impurities coming out of your station. It's just, it kind of boggles my mind, to be truthful with you, that, I just had an order come in for over close to $500,000 from China, and it was 20 different items. Everything nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. And they will jump through hoops to make sure that you are happy. They will make it right if there's anything wrong, but there wasn't in that particular instance. And so, I think that it's a much longer podcast, and it's about just paying attention to detail, making sure that you have pride in what you're doing with whatever company you're at.
So if we were to come out to Universal Marketing and meet the team, what would we feel?
I'd hope you'd feel super welcome. I'd hope you feel that... Not this week because we're remodeling the office.
Any other time.
Yeah. I'd hope you'd look around and you'd say things are nice and neat, and they, there's a reason why the finished product comes to us the way it does, because we take pride in making sure that what our appearance is and how we dress and how we talk is important for our customers to understand.
Awesome.
I think just one thing from being in this industry for almost 7 years. No matter how perfect, that order is, once it leaves your desk, there's always room for error, no matter if it's, UPS, the vendor, China, whatever.
A lot of hands have to touch it before
there really
it gets
is
to the end user.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it is what it is. But I think one thing that we talked about is, how, when things are going great, it's great. But when things are not going good and there's an issue, how do you react to that situation? I think also says a lot about your team and your business. Putting out fires, we've all been there, rush orders, things like that. It's a big part of that industry specifically. So it's great to...
And that's a value, Pat, that transcends industry.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so, it's not how good you are when you're good. It's how good you are when you're bad.
Yeah.
Right. You could bring that to anything that you do. I mean, I look at golf, right? I keep telling my 6-year-old son, who's getting into the game and he's starting to be really good at it, but he doesn't exactly have the patience level like most golfers who are trying to strive for something better. And I keep trying to tell him it's not how good your good shots are. It's how good your bad shots are. It's how good can you make your bad shots. That's really what it comes down to. Because you're going to play a round of golf. You might shoot an 80. And by the way, in that 80, you might hit one ball that you actually, in your heart of hearts, meant to hit. Meaning it was that shot shape. It went the distance you wanted it to be. It landed and spun properly. Like, it was like in your mind, it happened exactly the way you saw it. And I think business is very similar to that. In that, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the mouth. And that's kind of the way that selling something like you sell, where it's multiple items with different types of logo decoration, going to multiple locations. And there's a lot of hands that have to touch that, from the decorator to the packaging to the delivery system to the end user getting it, the communication between the design team and the marketing team at the brand you're delivering the product to. Like, there's a lot of air traffic control coordination that has to happen just to get a keychain with a freaking logo on it to 6,000 people. Right? I mean, it takes a lot. So there's going to be a lot of things that go wrong. How do you stay the course, and kind of what are some of your cultural values and vibe that you get across the team to stay the course and make sure that the end user is satisfied?
I think that it's been instilled from day one that they understand how things are done, and that, emails are answered within an hour, phone calls are returned, within, a half a day. Like, the sense of urgency has to be so important for me. Like, when it doesn't happen, I'm not a micromanager. I'm not capable. I don't have time. I can barely manage my own stuff. Like, I can't babysit you. Like, you have to know the drill, and you have to understand how we work and what we do and how we do it, because that's going to bring the customer back over and over again or not. Mm-hmm. And so that's the one thing I'm a huge stickler about. Like, hey, was this responded to? Because I get on, especially for the customers I deal with, I have 2 or 3 other people on it, because in case for any reason I'm not in the mix, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. But the sense of urgency is so important for me, because business is hard enough to get to begin with, let alone neglect somebody for whatever reason. And it could be, hey, they're getting back to you right now because they need something in a hurry and we need to jump through hoops. And an hour could make a difference.
Big time.
So I just want to make sure that I convey that out of the gate with people, especially new people coming on board. And yeah, could there be a couple of hiccups along the way? For sure. But at the end of the day, they know what's expected.
I always told Pat the most important thing for me when we were building out a sales team or hiring salespeople is I wanted a sense of urgency. It is by far the most important quality that an effective salesperson could have, or a customer service person could have. And this type of a sale is very customer service centric.
Huge.
And the sense of urgency is critical, because you have to become an extension of the brand that you're working on behalf of. And they're urgent about it, so you better be more urgent on their behalf. We do have a bit of a challenge right now when we look at salespeople in multiple industries, just in general. There's been this narrative, I think, that is going around, and, I'm pretty hype on LinkedIn, so I'm reading content and I'm seeing it, and there's this life balance kind of narrative that's going out. And I think life balance is a BS narrative that needs to be kind of either clarified or better defined. I think it's important to have a life, not just a living. But I think it's extremely important that we understand that we need to be stewards to the people that we're working for. And you got to have a sense of urgency to achieve their goal. I think what's happening right now is you see a lot of people in sales that want to have a sense of urgency, but somehow they've heard this work-life balance thing, and they're putting life ahead of work at times where they really should have urgency to get the job done.
Especially if they understand where their paycheck's coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, I mean, customers are hard enough to begin with. You have to be able to retain them. And you retain them by making sure that they think they're the only customer you have, making sure that they understand how important their business. I don't even care if they order once a year. I care that they understand that they're taken care of just as well as the person spending 6 figures a year.
Yeah.
It's the experience.
Right.
That's what it's all about, honestly.
It's completely about creating a brand experience. And by the way, that is kind of what your industry is doing, is helping the brands that you are providing products to that have their logo on it, do it in a way that is beyond just a giveaway. It's about creating a brand experience. So talk a little bit about, the advisement part. For instance, somebody comes to you, says, hey, we want to do a reorder. And then you say, well, let me ask you a question. If it's a reorder, it means that you did this before and you gave it away at an event. What was the reaction? If their response is anything other than it was spectacular, wonderful, brilliant, it was the greatest return that we ever received on, then there should be some sort of advisement of how to make that better. How can brands take their marketing spend, purchasing promotional products, and create a better experience by just adding a few little niceties to the way that it's delivered, an insert that's in there, a thank you note, or some way of packaging it? Like, how often are you kind of having that conversation with your customers to make stretch their spend, create a bigger return?
I can tell you that if I have the time, which, usually people are like, no, I have a trade show when?
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
So if I have the time and I have a vendor come in, I see some cool ideas, or I've seen an email and there's some cool products that have come out, 100% I'll be like, hey, I know you've done this the last 3 years, but look at this. This is a cool retractable charging click cable. It fits the iPhones, the Androids. It's retractable. Everybody can use it and put it in their center console. It's something that can replace the cords that are hanging all over your car center console. It's one thing. But you don't always have that time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that happen in my business, and I'm sure it was with you guys, people are just...
They're reacting
instead of planning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't give them a viable solution all the time because you just don't have the time.
So this is the beauty of partnership, because partnership is a give-take. So what you're saying is, and I think this holds true for really any service, whether it be promotional products or copy machines or IT. If you have a partnership, then you'll start to plan out ahead of time and allow your partner to become a partner, so it's not transactional. I think a lot of times, to your point, folks come in with a last minute transactional decision, but they have an expectation that it's going to be some sort of an amazing experience. The experience comes down to building the relationship and the partnership and understanding what their brand is trying to achieve, which takes a longer time. So it sounds like what you're saying is, don't talk to me to the point of transaction. Let's talk months in advance. Let's plan out your calendar and let me help you to get option A and option B instead of option E, F, and G. Because we waited too long. Let's have the conversation much earlier.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, when you have promotional product suppliers, and we've all had them, some good, some with tons of energy, and they get excited, and you're like, they're getting me excited about something like this just because of their energy. I think that I get inspired to go out. I mean, after 30 years, yes, is there some complacency? I'm sure there is. And sometimes they're just, hey, I just want to get this done for them so I can go on to the next thing. But I think those instances where I can get excited and get enthusiastic, like that person that brought it to me, and I can retell that story for them to see how they can incorporate it into their brand and their certain function that they're going to try to use it for, that gets me excited.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen as much as I'd like it to be truthful with you, but I think those rare instances are what kind of reinvigorates me. Kind of like when you hit crappy golf shots and then all of a sudden you're hitting the next 3 holes amazing. you're like, this is what keeps me coming back, right?
You birdie 18. You're like, you have the worst round of your life, but you birdie 18. You're like, damn it, now I got to play again.
Just before I was going to throw my bag into the pond.
I was about to literally drag my sandwich down the cart path, which I have done. And instead, I birdied the hole, and damn it, now I have to play again tomorrow. It's a good damn it, but it's a damn it nonetheless.
Yeah, no, but I would like to take what you're saying and turn it into a reality for everybody.
Sure.
I don't think it's a realistic thing to do based on the fact that you're relying on people to say, hey, I need this and I need it yesterday.
And again, there are going to be folks always that need a last minute thing. And I guess you could be judged on how fast you jumped and whether or not you came through. And then the next few times you could have the conversation, be like, hey, look, instead of waiting to the last second transaction, I'm happy to do that. And that could be our relationship. But if you give me an idea of what events you have coming up months in advance and what price point. Literally, I could build this thing out for you and just be sending you ideas along the way.
Because it's great because, most vendors are able to give you virtuals to put, their logo on whatever it is you want them to. So that gets them excited.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about, the most pivotal moment in your business where, maybe you had the strongest sense of pride and you felt like, you know what, I really am here to do this.
I think probably when I bought my embroidery machines and to understand that I have a brother and sister that have been working for me for 23 years who I actually hired from the other embroidery company that I was doing all my contract stuff through, who they're like family to me.
Yeah.
And, the brother drives from Belvedere every day.
Wow.
The sister drives from Aurora every day. She's there at 6:15. She's the first one there every day. Wow. And I have a sense of not employees, but family. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of how I treat everybody because it's my company and it's a smaller office and it is like a family environment. And so my sense of pride is hopefully them feeling that love and that sense of family.
That's awesome. I think that's probably, one of the biggest things people look for nowadays when they're looking for, a new position and not only just, a great environment, but great teammates. And I think it's nice to be able to have that type of culture. And to show up at 6:15, probably a 45-minute drive, that's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah. And the fact that my one son, Dawson, he's like, David is like a magician with thread. Like, we all know the difference between, we all don't know, but I know because I do it and you guys know because you did it, like what good embroidery is and what subpar embroidery looks like. And the way these things are packaged in poly bags, nice and neat. Like David and Sylvia and Steamed and Elisa, I don't even know if they ever want to fold another piece of clothing when they do their own laundry, but they put it in these boxes so beautifully nice and neat that when that customer opens the box,
it's the reaction.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that gives me a sense of pride and satisfaction. And, everybody's got to check pieces in. If you have 1,000 pieces, you got to check the packing list. And, in the midst of this whole Alpha Broder SNS thing, nightmare. Everything's coming in wrong. But they have to count each individual piece in. We could easily set it up at the machine, run it, and hope and pray it's right. Mm-hmm. It would 90% be wrong because they had so many problems logistically. But these people really care about what they do, and it really translates into the finished product. And that, I can't tell you how happy it makes me and excited, and it gives me a tremendous sense of satisfaction.
So, business principles and practices, you did not have the luxury that many entrepreneurs have of going and learning from, amazing business leaders and mentors and executives that maybe for a 10-year period, let's say, where you got all their tutelage and you watched them in action. And
I've never had a mentor. And that is not good. But I will tell you that I tried to not too long after my dad died. And I kind of was pushed at an arm's length. And I just think that for whatever reason, that I stopped looking.
Where did you get all the fundamentals to be able to build the principles, the systems, the controls, the procedures, to build a culture, an environment, to build a brand? Like school Hard Knocks? I mean,
John,
just a repetition of doing? Like,
this is where I'll tell people, anybody, whether they're working for me or they're considering working for me, I'm not the smartest guy out there, man. And even my wife is like, how come you can't pay attention to me when I'm talking to you, but how come you can do it at work?
Yeah.
I go, I don't know, because there's money involved.
yeah.
And money was an important part of, like, when my dad died, he had nothing. He was 50 grand in the hole. He
So
had
you're battling to make sure.
Like, it was always, so money is what keeps me up at night. The trauma that was 34 years ago, that's something that never left me. And I'm concerned about money all the time. And I don't need to be, but I always think that, okay, I have it.
This could be the last day.
It could be tomorrow
that
it's gone. I can't tell you why. Clearly, it's something that I have not worked out in my brain and my heart, but it's just something that I'm always focused on. And I've always lived a frugal life. You know, do I have nice things? Yes, but I always make sure that I don't spend more than I make. And that's an important lesson I've instilled in my kids at a young age. Like, you know, playing hockey, all the kids were getting new equipment, doing skates, this, that, and the other. Dad, can I get new skates? No, you're not, or a new stick, $200 sticks.
The break.
No, you don't need it. Well, so-and-so has it. I go, so-and-so's family's upside down. You don't see it now. But that's the way most people live. And that's not the way I ever wanted to live.
Yeah.
And so that's the way that I raise my kids. That's the way I live my life. And it's not good. My wife is great for me because she pushes me way out of my comfort zone to do things that the joke with my kids are, you better hope nothing happens to mom because we're not going to Europe anymore. You're going to go to the Wisconsin Dells. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be traveling like she does. I mean, she's the concierge. She does everything. She should be like a travel agent. She's amazing.
Yeah.
But like...
Super organized.
But that's a flaw, a big flaw. You shouldn't worry about those kinds of things, especially when I don't need to, but I do because I worry about just making sure I take care of my family.
So you've given hope to a whole bunch of people here that, you know, are probably either thinking about being a business owner or currently in it and going, man, I don't have all the answers. What you're essentially saying is you don't need all the answers. Be great at what you're great at.
Yeah, I guess recognize your strengths, surround yourself with better, smarter people, and, you know, you'll never know it all. But like I told you in the first order that I walked out with, that I took the order and then I figured it out. Look, what I learned a long time ago is you can't teach common sense. A lot of it is common sense. And if you are able to figure it out and pay attention to details, nothing's impossible. But if you hate your job, don't leave it before finding another job, or at least find, maybe your spouse has a secondary income that can carry you and get you through a quarter so you can get things up and running. But if you work hard enough and you have the ability and you have the ability for people to like you, people want to buy from you if they like you, nothing's impossible. Don't stay in a stagnant job just because.
Yeah.
My son did that. My oldest son, he was working for Northrop Grumman. He was a financial analyst. He had a good paying job. It wasn't great. It might have never been great, but it was a solid, steady job. And he met a guy who was 22, 23 at the time, dropped out of school. He's making 40, 50, 60,000 a month selling wholesale real estate, like distressed properties where you sell it to a flipper, they put money into it and then they flip it. And he's like, what should I do? I go, you got enough money in the bank? I said, you own your townhouse. You got 2 roommates that are pretty much paying your mortgage. I go, if you're going to do it now. It's 100% commission.
Eat what you kill, baby.
That's it. That is a hard thing for a lot of people to do. But if you work hard, if you build relationships, if you do all the little things, you can't fail.
I'm going to throw one more thing into that. Build a personal brand right now. Never before in history has it been so important and easy to build a personal brand. And you said, don't quit your job unless you have another one lined up. I made that mistake, but it wasn't a mistake. And I've done it 3 times. And I think at one point I had told people, somebody asked me, like, why do I create so much? I'm like, well, number one, I'm promoting the brand that I currently work at, which helps me to succeed at the brand that I'm currently working at. But it also is building a case for this is what my capabilities are, and it's building my personal brand. And should I choose to go do something else, I will not be unemployed for an extended period of time, because somebody will look at that and go, well, if he did it there, he could do it here. So one of the things that I would strongly recommend to anybody is, if you are in a role that you love, promote the brand, build your personal brand while promoting that brand. But at the same time, if you're in a role that you don't love, promote the brand and promote yourself while you're promoting the brand. And then you'll have the option to leave that brand or go do whatever you want or start your own brand, because you've already built your personal brand. And you didn't have that luxury 30 years ago. You had to go down in your basement, put it on a suit and tie, smile and dial, and call and find each one at a time. And you built a business that's a legacy business now after 30 years. People could fast track that right now with their brand if they, instead of reaching one person, one call at a time, created one video, or were on a podcast like this, or built a podcast. They could reach 5,000 to 10,000 people a day.
There's no question.
It just fast tracks everything.
But everybody is not comfortable.
1,000%.
How you do it? Did you take yourself out of your comfort zone to do it?
1,000%.
Yeah. Well, I think the majority, and I don't particularly, even for this took me out of my comfort zone.
Sure.
To come on this podcast. I don't really particularly like talking about myself. Okay. But I said I'm doing it because it's going to make me uncomfortable. And it's an experience. But yeah, I think that's the main, wouldn't you agree that's the main thing why people don't do it? Because they are uncomfortable.
Yeah. 100%.
Me as a perfectionist, I'm like, oh, I don't like this angle. I don't like the way I said it. I'm such a perfectionist. I want to hit it 100% every time. And you can't.
No.
Right?
And that's the part that's endearing to the viewer. Is they're like,
that you're raw.
That you're raw.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. That's the part. And it people can relate to that. I can't relate to perfection, right? So I think the really cool part about you deciding, hey, I'm going to come on and do this, is you said, hey, this is out of my comfort zone. Now, meanwhile, I don't know if you know this or not, but we're at 1 hour and 7 minutes of recording, and it probably felt like 15 minutes.
It actually did.
Yeah.
And thank you for
just letting it rip.
And reaching me out to me and just saying, hey, when he said, hey, we got to get you on that podcast, I thought, he's never going to ask me on the podcast. What? I have no value or importance to share with anybody. That's what I feel.
And that's there's the point. That's the feeling I think we all feel is like, just little old me, what could I possibly say? And meanwhile, then you say it, and hopefully what comes of it is several people, give you a like or a comment on some of the content that comes out and go, gosh, that was really inspirational. Hey, that moved me. Hey, I had that experience happen to me, and I didn't deal with it the same way, but now I think maybe I should deal with it that way. So like, it aligns with your purpose, which is to be a leader of your family, to inspire people and to draw attention to brands.
Never know who you might touch.
You never know
with this video or a clip, or someone might not want to talk about something, but they saw that you talked about it, and now they feel more comfortable. So that's what it's all about, honestly.
1,000%. And you've absolutely, you just shine on camera. You just absolutely light it up. So
killed it.
Having a great experience here on my side of the desk, anyways. I hope you are too. I'm curious if you were to define, let's say, your pillars of success, right? I like to work in the power of 3. I think there's a lot of energy to that comes out. But I'm curious, like, if you were going to say to somebody, hey, here's my best advice, you got to do these 3 things. Like for me, I'll just give you an example just to frame the question. Mine are mindset, behavior, technique. I feel like anything that you're going to do, if you have a positive mindset, you have the right mindset, there's a much higher likelihood of success just purely on the transfer of energy and the positivity you can bring to something. From there, behavior, I believe in repetition. Like if you're going to be great at anything, you want to be great at playing the guitar, play it a lot. You want to be a great singer, sing all the time. You want to be a great Christian? Practice Christianity as often as possible. Like if you want to be all of those, you want to be a great person, be a great person as much as you possibly can, even in the toughest moments. It's about identifying a behavior and repetitiously attacking that behavior. And that's how you make it innate. It becomes muscle memory. It just starts to define who you are. And then the third would be technique. Like you can't be an expert in anything until you've established techniques of how to do it, and you can teach others how to do it. You can bring them with you. That's when you're truly an expert. So those are my three: mindset, behavior, technique. If you had to put three, what would you say?
I'm going to tell you that I don't look at myself as successful.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? Because
no.
And I'm just going to tell you, my wife is like, how can you say that? You've done this, 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 and this. I don't know what it is. I can look at it and go, I can analyze it 6 weeks to Sunday. I don't look at myself as being successful. I get up, I try to do the right things every day. I try to work hard. I try to make people around me better. But I don't look at it like, I just don't. And that's probably a bad way to think of it, but I just don't look at myself and pat myself on the back.
Okay, so humility would be one.
That's the first one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Let's establish the list.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think some of the greatest leaders that I've ever interacted with would have answered it the same way. Now, I was put to the test when I came up with those three because it was an exercise our company was doing, and we had to really think it through and come up with them. And it helped me to define it. But most of the time when I pose this question to leaders that are really stewards, like really good leaders, they almost always say, I don't know that I'm really a leader. You know, I certainly am not trying to be a leader. I just kind of...
Really?
Yeah. So I think you fall in line with a lot of great leaders that we've had on the show or that I've interacted with where they lead with humility. Like they don't even know or believe. Maybe there's something really deep down inside of them that goes, no, you're kind of a badass. Because you kind of have to have that a little bit in order to keep doing what you're doing.
Maybe I do, but it's subconscious.
It's subconscious, but most consciously answer how you did. Like, I don't even know if I'm successful. And, you know, Pat and I are sitting here going, dude, 30 years of business. Like, you've employed
I need to hang around you guys more.
Well, we're pretty good
about myself.
No, we're pretty good at that helping you.
I look at my family as more of a success than my business. Not that my business isn't as successful, not that I haven't done well, not that I haven't, accomplished things, but I look at that and I think it has to go back to just what happened to me so many years ago, that I'm proud of the way my kids turned out. I'm proud of the way they get along with each other. And they're so tight and they're so loving and they have each other's backs. I'm proud of the fact that I have a best friend in this world who thinks I'm successful. I haven't gotten that memo yet, but who supports me no matter what. And I have a lot of different things that I would say that I'm successful at before my business.
Yeah. So I would say humility, purpose, right? And then you kept leading with service. So
I'll tell you that, and I'll give Cal's Angels a plug because I'm involved with them.
Yeah.
And I've learned that what I've made, I give back. And Stacy Wahlberg's been a huge influence over there and how she's grown that non-for-profit for pediatric cancer. But I've always given to my church, but it's about giving more back into the community, and even the Salvation Army and ringing the bells and things like that. But, and that's happened over time for me. That's not something that was instilled at a young age. But I saw my dad give at the church, and so that's something that I always did too.
It's almost like you're honoring him by honoring others.
Yeah, and it's like he's the first person that you saw when you walked into the church. It's how I wanted the foundation to be for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would I love for my kids to go to church on their own? 100%.
Can't make them though. They got to decide to.
They do. It's got to be in them. But it's good enough for me that on Easter or Christmas that they're there dressed to the nines, sitting with me, and they understand they're getting brunch afterwards, so it doesn't matter.
I think that going to church is one thing, but I think probably what's most important to you, I know it is for me, is to have a relationship with Jesus, to speak with Jesus, to know him. So he already knows you, but to know him, I think that that's more important than walking through the doors of a church.
I tell you what, I think I lost a lot of faith in what happened so many years ago with my dad and so many questions and whatnot. My sister has a faith that I can only be envious of because she is so close to Jesus. Yeah. She has put her whole life into his hands.
I got a sister like that.
I haven't done it. I haven't been able to do it, but I haven't actually felt God speak to me personally, and I want that. I don't know what I have to do to get to that point, but it's something that I'm not there yet. And I don't know if that's because of my inner faith, that it's not quite there yet, but it's not from me lack of trying.
Or maybe he knows you're doing the good works already. Man, I don't know.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. Here's what, and I want you to take this the right way because I've heard it said in a way that was negative, but I'm saying this in very much a positive way. You're a man in business, not a businessman. And I think you intend it to be that way. I think if you intended to be like a businessman who was like, had all the answers to the business, could write a business book and so on. If you elected to do that and that was your thing, you could 100% do it. But I think that you've elected more to be, again, I'm just getting to be a man in business.
Yes.
And for you, it's more about being a man, being a leader of your family, a leader in the community, somebody that others can look at and go, man, he's untouchable, but he's so touchable.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as in a positive way, 100%.
It's meant to be.
Yeah, not negative way at all. I'll take that. I feel like that's a compliment. And yeah, I just, I think the older I get, the more I understand that it's not all about the money.
Yeah.
It's more about the experience, more about the family aspect of how my life is lived. And the fact that I have gotten closer and closer to God than I was 34 years ago. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah. I told somebody this yesterday that I've been rich financially and poor in purpose. And I've been rich in purpose and poor financially. And now I'm in a moment in my life where I feel like it's possible to do both. But I feel like you got to lead with the purpose thing first. And then the other thing will
it'll fall into place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at right now. Final thoughts. If you were going to leave us with some sort of inspiration or something that you want to talk about or promote, where's your mind at right now as it relates to the business, life, or a message that you'd like to get out to our community?
I think it is that we all have to put ourselves in a position where we are always trying to grow personally, professionally, spiritually. And I think in order to do that, in a lot of cases, you have to make yourself uncomfortable. And it's easy to sit on your hands and think about it, but it's harder to do it. I'm grateful for this experience. You may go, it's not that big a deal. To me, it was. And our interaction today, all three of us, was really special, and I appreciate the opportunity. I really do.
We appreciate it as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Get Shit Done experience. This has been Mr. Rob Marshall, Universal Marketing LLC. Please take a look at the website. I'm certain after listening to this podcast, and in fact, if you listen to it all the way through, we are extremely grateful. We are very thankful because we know you have tons of places where you can put your time and your energy, and the fact that you stayed with us through this whole podcast makes you our kind of people. We're sure that you get shit done, and we're so grateful and thankful. Please like and subscribe. Go to the Universal page and follow them. Follow Rob. Stay in touch. And if you have an order, please reach out. Pat, thanks so much for joining us. And Rob, I want to remind you, sir, you got shit done.
Yes, I did.
Let's go.
Awesome. Let's go.
Can your business handle 15% growth? If yes, you have to engage with 2020 Design. They fuse data and creativity to stop the scroll, break through the noise, and grab the attention of your future customers. 2020 Design will create competitive, click-worthy campaigns, design and build custom websites, spark your social media presence, and structure email campaigns that get right to your audience, the decision maker. Let's boost attention and awareness, which allows you to convert more sales. Check them out at 2020design.com. That's the number 20, TWENTY design.com.